welcome to the 10th episode. It's our 10th episode, Stephanie,
Wow.
of the Show Me How podcast, where we show you how to do different things related to commercial and residential real estate. I'm John Scuras.
And I'm Stephanie Weber.
We're
And we'd like to
co-hosts.
welcome you to the Show Me How podcast family. And thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thank you very much. Today we have exciting topics, Stephanie.
Exciting. I mean, it is rolling right off of our multifamily buyer segment of last episode.
And condo purchase and all that good
purchase.
stuff. And then commercial
Small commercial.
Small commercial property
Right.
purchasing. So yeah, what is it? It's about how to be a first-time landlord. So we give you kind of the ins and outs.
Right.
The Landlord 101 is what I like to call it.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
there's so many things that people think they have an idea of being a landlord until you're actually a landlord. There's a lot of stumbling blocks that we want to make sure you stay out of.
You're right. Exactly. So through our lessons and our anecdotes, which we'll tell you, as well as kind of the best practices we've learned also throughout the years,
Yes.
we'll give you some ideas on how to be a good landlord. So we're focused on first-time landlords, house hackers, new investors, real estate curious homeowners that
Right.
might want to get into becoming a landlord. Very similar group than we were doing before. We're here to educate you first-time landlords on how to set up,
Right.
manage and protect your rental investment so you don't get in any trouble and end up in housing court.
Right.
Right?
We've all been in housing court, so we
No,
should
we've
know.
not.
I
Okay.
have.
Have you?
Yeah,
That doesn't surprise me.
I know. Shocking. So landlord is being is easy,
Oh,
right?
wait. So, and I wanted to say this relates to commercial property at one level too. It's more geared towards residential,
Right.
but definitely you could take some of this knowledge in for commercial. It talks about cash flow, lease documents, screening, and risk. And the reason I bring this up is we have this nifty little tool that I don't think we've talked about enough. It's these icons. So when we do an episode, we'll provide icons that talk about the different topics,
Right.
so you guys can track what it is we're talking about and look for tools and helpful hints on specific topics based on those icons.
And those will be on our website. So showmehowpodcast.com. If you have any trouble or anything, just shoot us a message. We'll make sure you get those documents.
Yeah, and we did our best to kind of come up with unique icons.
Yeah.
They don't always do the full translation of what the topic is.
Right.
So you have to read a little bit sometimes to find out what that icon may be, but we provide those definitions for you too.
Exactly. And the tools to back it up.
Yeah. All right. On we go.
We
What's
go.
our hook?
So it's easy being a landlord, right?
Oh yeah, very easy. It's so simple. You collect the rent.
All
You
right,
wait
we're
for your
done.
tenants. Wait for your tenants to show up. Give you cookies. Give you gifts at Christmas.
Right? Always.
But sometimes they bring rats. I just had this rat situation.
Oh, really?
Yes. Unfortunate cold winter. The rats were looking for someplace to stay,
Right.
and they found a way in. Let me tell you, it was no fault of my own. They dig under the ground, and they dug a tunnel under the threshold of the rear door into the crawl space.
No way.
Yes, and then came up through the plumbing access into the building, into the unit on the first floor.
That's insane.
Oh, it was unbelievable. The poor tenant, he was Airbnb tenant, and just a great guy. His name's Sam. Sam, thank you again for
Thank
your
you, Sam.
patience as you worked that through. But again, it was not fun to fix. And he
No,
was-
rats can get. I remember when we owned our building at Sacramento, we had that basement
Yeah, I lived
unit.
through that experience.
Right. This
got
big.
into the basement.
It was this big. The hole was
Yeah.
that big,
I mean,
and they got in.
It was tiny. And
They
it
don't
was
have
tiny this
any
time, too.
bones in their body. Did you
No.
know that?
No,
Rats
I did
don't
not
have.
know that.
Right.
That
So that's why they
explains a
can-
lot. Oh
that's
my
why
God,
they
you're
can-
kidding. They have
no.
no bones?
No.
It's like a snake
It's like a snake.
with legs. Wow, that's
Ooh,
creepy.
ooh, and a long tail.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, getting him out of there was a nightmare.
So, we'll do a section on rat abatement somewhere down the road. Not now, but
we'll bring in some specialty person for
right.
you.
Some city of Chicago rat abaters that aren't losing the battle.
So being a landlord can have its challenges, but we don't want to overwhelm you. There's solutions to everything. There's good people out there, as long as you have good tenants. And being a landlord can unlock serious wealth. I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Pretty much with all these projects, whether you're rehabbing or getting a multifamily or doing Airbnbs, whatever it is. We're doing it because we know we can help make you more financially secure.
Exactly.
But missteps can turn into a financial conundrum and can put you into, court. I don't want to. I've owned my building since 1998, so it's
Right.
27 years. I've never been in housing court, so I did get scammed once by a bad tenant, though. So
Right.
it does happen. It cost me probably $3,500, I think.
Right.
It was about 10 years ago, so it can cost you.
It
so.
can, and we'll go through some of the nightmares of tenants where we did, like I said, my family owned a lot of rentals, and we did end up in court, and you would not believe the people we ended up in court with. So we'll go through that later in this episode, but don't take, what's it, by face value, the saying. Don't take something by face value.
Yeah. Don't take a book. Don't take a book. Don't judge a book by its cover.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Or judge something by face value.
Yeah. So the myth of the week is a tenant has great credit, they'll be a great tenant. John?
No. Credit reports, which everyone would think you want to run, don't give you a lot of information.
Right.
They don't tell
They're
you about
good.
noise complaint. Yeah, I mean, it's a financial assessment, right? Are they reliable tenants? Do they pay their bills? Do they have their other credit card issues? But look, at the end of the day, I'm not discouraging this. People need to have a place to live. They tend to pay their rent, right?
Right.
Over credit cards or other car payments even and things like that. So credit reports will give you an idea, but you don't know, are they staying up? I had some Airbnb tenants. The people were insane. I was like, what are you doing? You can't live. You have tenant? It's Tuesday night. And these people were working in some homeless, immigrant shelter, and they were only working certain nights. And Tuesday was their big night off. And they're partying to 1 a.m. I'm like, my son has to go to work. I have to go to work. What are you doing? Oh, were we loud? I'm like, do you have any consideration whatsoever? So anyway, you have to rattle the cage a little bit every now and then.
Yeah.
So you get lease violations. Are they bringing in pets when they're not supposed to? Are they doing, things illegally in the place? Which
Right.
I had that happen too. Are they causing property damage? So tenant screening, is important.
Yeah.
So you got to combine these checks with contacting landlords. That's a key.
Very
'Cause
key.
if somebody called me about this guy that was staying up to all hours and taking part in illicit drugs, I'd be happy to tell the next landlord.
Of course.
Do not deal with these people. They're a nightmare. They have no respect. Now, people change. People are young and they make stupid mistakes. It's, I don't think you should hold that against people forever. But for the near term,
Right.
you want to talk to these local tenants, these local landlords, recent landlords, and see what their experiences were.
Right.
That
And
gave me a lot of insight.
it just to go through that for a hot second, I know John's exposed my Florida debacle, but when we were getting rid of the tenant in Florida, it was a nightmare, long and complicated process. But why it's so important to call past landlords is he recently applied for a place to move into, and the landlord called me, and I was like, red flag, red flag,
Run away.
So I just saved her. She just saved a lot of headaches by just
And 25.
reaching out.
How much did it cost you? $25,000.
$25,000 to get them out.
Yeah.
So you need to. When I'm saying this
That's an
is
extreme
so
situation,
true.
by the way. I've never heard that ever.
Right.
I think
Well,
she
he
got
wouldn't
taken
leave.
to the cleaners by her attorney.
He would not leave. But
Or
what
a
I'm
very
saying
horrible
is
tenant that knew
horrible
how to
tenant that
avoid
would
the
not
laws.
leave.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm saying is by her just calling me saved her a tremendous amount of headache.
Yeah, I guess back to the $25,000 I want to bring up. Some people learn the system and they know how to manage it, right? And that leads to higher bills. So,
Right.
Hopefully you get some idea of who this person is when you're interviewing them to become a landlord, etc. And you don't get them in there because I'm sure your lawyer was great and it was just this person gaming the system.
Gaming the
which
system.
a lot of people have learned to do.
And since COVID, there's been a lot of tricks of the trade. So just be very, very careful.
Yeah. Eviction history you can find out through HUD agencies.
Right.
So if they've done that, and employment verification, it's another important one.
Right.
Really, you got to just make a phone call, right?
All you do is making phone calls. Don't do this by email.
Right.
Don't call the people. Ask for phone numbers. Ask for their supervisor's phone number, because they could be employed, but if they're on a, any kind of write up, they're late to. Are they late to work? Are they on time?
Yeah.
Things you can find out a little bit more about them, and that will show you too.
I don't know if you can ask employers.
Well, they'll just give you a kind of.
You just want to verify their history.
Right, a little bit.
You can't go into their HR file, Stephanie.
You could get things out of them. But also remember that when renting in Chicago, we're just talking about Chicago for a minute, there's certain times of the year you can't kick people out either.
Well, there should be everywhere. I mean, in Florida, when it's 150 degrees, probably shouldn't kick people out either. I mean, everyone talks about, the cold of Chicago. I'm like, wait a second.
Right.
I'd rather be cold and put blankets on than smoked out in
Right.
Florida where it's 120 degrees.
No, but I think the ordinance is from October to April.
So there is one here.
And you can't turn off if they aren't paying the heat.
Well, look,
you're responsible for the
You're going
heat.
pretty far here. Look, nobody wants to kick anybody out of their place.
I'm just saying.
I know.
Just know the ordinances.
Know the ordinances and avoid this at all costs, right? We're going to give you all the tools to avoid ever having to do that, because nobody wants to do that.
No one wants to do it. I'm just saying that by
Have you
using
done
the
it?
tools, we've tried and we had to pay for. So there was a girl that lived on the basement of Sacramento.
Yeah.
And was not paying her heat, and we were trying to kick her out, and she was running an extension cord. I don't even know where the extension cord went to. And if those pipes froze, that fed the whole building. So we had
the pipes in her unit.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay.
And
I didn't know why her not paying the rent or the heat mattered. They shut off her heat.
They shut off her heat. We had to turn it back on and pay it.
Wow.
And she had a child in there. So, there's a lot of different things. So I know no one wants to kick anyone out. No one wants to do anything bad, but you kind of have to make sure that you're on top of these things. And by making those important phone calls in the beginning when you're screening these tenants, that really helps to understand, there are great tenants in there. You've had one for 14 years,
And people go through hard times too.
Yeah.
If you want to proactively reach out and help them. I mean, I have tenants now that I'm having to raise the rent significantly because of last administration and the inflation they created.
Right.
So, it's insane. I was just talking to HVAC contractor, your favorite one, and he said their costs have doubled 100%, not 7 or 12 or 20, 100% increase.
Mismanagement or actually doubled?
No, the actual costs have doubled. She doesn't love Frank, but I do, Frank. So why does this topic matter, Stephanie?
Because those are the hard conversations you're going to have with your tenants too. So, I would say having a 12-month lease with a renewable option in there, but not stating what the rate's going to be for the renewable option is really key right now.
Yeah. Well, but so what's the definition of a landlord?
What do you mean? We rent units to...
Landlords are individuals or entities that lease residential property to tenants under legally binding rental agreements.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are we? Right. So where are we going here? You good?
We're good. And I think we talked about evictions. Again, no one wants to go through the eviction process, but as a landlord, the odds of you coming across it at some point, if you continue down this road...
Well, it depends on how many units you have, right?
Right.
The more units you get, the more likely it is. But the median cost for eviction is what, about
$3,500? I mean, I think it's more than that now. I really do.
Yeah, it probably is.
Because you're talking about loss of rent, then you're talking about lawyer fees.
Well, loss of rent
all
is
those things.
A whole nother thing, right? So,
right.
Because if you do lose a tenant in a non-rental season, you might be vacant for 2 months.
Right.
So again, figuring this out, staying on top of the tenants is why it matters.
And I think,
and keeping your property value high and strong too.
We're talking about this in a very matter-of-fact way, but remember, this is a business. You're not You're not these people's friends. You're the landlord. They're the tenant. Just like any transaction, you go into Target or whatever you're buying the good, they're ringing it up, and you're walking out the door. Same thing. It's not a personal transaction. It's a business transaction, and keep that always in mind.
That's right. So what are some red flags
Oh, God.
we've seen? What are some real life lessons?
So we had Mrs. Meyer. God love Mrs. Meyer.
I think I remember that.
At Sacramento. She was a hoarder, which used to drive my father into like complete insanity.
The engineer that he was.
She had a Christmas tree up year round. But, you know, there's only certain things that you could do with hoarding unless it's a code violation or a biohazard, which she was just
Meaning like food and
Yeah.
rodents and things like
rodent.
that.
She actually didn't have rodents. It was the people on
She's
the first
up on the fourth floor. Though,
She was
right?
in the middle floor, and it was the
Oh.
people on the first floor that actually had the roaches. Which
Well, they probably smelled it from the second floor. I mean,
I don't
I've had challenges with
I don't
my
know.
tenants are big recyclers,
oh,
and sounds wonderful. It's like disgusting. They have plastic with juice and stuff in it that they sort of rinsed out, and food bags and things like that they don't fully clean, and so bugs start getting, the scent. Ants especially. No, it's no joke.
they can march one
It's
by
like,
one
oh, we're
upstairs.
recycling. I'm like, it's great if you take it out every day or at least
do
once a week.
something.
But it'd be in there for a month, and they, get little marching ants coming in.
Yeah. So, also when you're dealing with hoarding, that can be construed as a mental health issue too. So, just be sure that you consult the Fair Housing Act, and reach out accordingly. Some of the other things that are very, very big red flags is refusing a background check.
Yeah,
You should
that's very
always
important.
run a background check. It costs $25. I just had a client
Well,
that was
we don't
renting a
know.
studio,
Yeah,
and as a agent, my job was to give him the information, but you're, as the landlord, are responsible for running the background check. If you're using an agent to rent your unit, they're not doing any of that.
no.
That's your responsibility, because then it falls on you to make the decision of what you want to do. So make sure that you are really understanding the background check. If they have a bankruptcy, if they have different things in their background, doesn't mean they're not qualified, and doesn't mean they didn't come out of it, but it's a definite conversation piece.
Yeah, something you need to think about.
Other things, if they're refusing any kind of indication of contacting any landlords from before, or here's a huge red flag, they want to pay for the entire year up front.
Yeah, that's a risk. I mean, I think it's the same risk everywhere. It's more about, them. Why do they want to do that? If they have
Right.
a justification, I'm traveling a lot or something, you could still evict somebody even if they paid up front.
Well, the
doesn't
problem
matter.
with the cash up front, what is that masking for unverified income?
Well,
right?
and that's why you have to verify
Right.
their
Are they
employment
doing
history.
legal things or legal?
Right.
And if you're saying I didn't know, that's not you can't say that. You can't say I didn't know. If you didn't do your due diligence, you could be,
Who's going to ask you that?
at risk too. Huh?
Who's asking you if you knew what?
Huh?
If you didn't know?
Right. If the authorities come in and say, did you get anything, they paid their rent 12 months in advance.
You're not liable for that. But,
I'm just saying that you can't use the I didn't know if you didn't do any kind of background check on them.
Yeah, okay. So I think you just got to be smart about it. You can't be blamed for people doing stupid stuff. Verify the employment history,
Right.
etc. So these are anecdotal stories, but there are real risks of being a landlord.
True.
Obviously, if you get raided, because your tenants doing something illegal, that's terrible, but you're not liable.
Right.
But, just think about it. Who are you getting in there? What's
Right.
their verification? All that good stuff. And then in cities like Chicago, you have ordinances like the Municipal Code 512. So you have to require landlords. It requires landlords to address issues like hoarding and pests and things like that. So you got to do that stuff.
Well, I just had to go back to the hoarding for a second. A friend of mine is the president of a condo board, and on their condo board, the building is insured beyond the units, right? The public space is insured. And something happened. There was a flood. They had to get into a couple units. The one lady was a hoarder. And the insurance company said if she doesn't clean up her unit, we're not going to insure the building.
Yeah, of course not, because it's a
So-
fire hazard.
Right.
It's like a tinder. You know, I went into a hoarder's house when I was in Florida visiting your brother, and it was something for sale. So we went to look at it, and this poor woman and her kids. Oh my God, she was losing her house, and it was terrible. But it's like a kindling. I mean, it's like a fire hazard. She had
Right.
microwaves in boxes that she had purchased and stacked up. They were a great deal.
Right.
You know, so that's no good for anybody. Plus, by the way, addressing this topic can help them.
Help
You
them.
know, if you kind
right.
of force it and push it out. Now, what makes a great landlord? What do you got for us there?
Oh, well, I think a great landlord is just one. First of all, I think a great landlord, from my experience, is a great communicator, right? So
Sure.
whatever you're doing, however, your tenants are human. We did have a couple tenants that did go through what you said, hard times.
Yeah.
And my dad, who, if you ever met him, you wouldn't think he was a sap, but he was a sap. He had a good
great.
friend that, was living the high life in Winnetka, lost everything, and he ended up coming to live in one of my dad's buildings and went through a very hard time. And it was through his communication, really, and he broke down, and my dad took care of it. But, we've had other tenants who've lost their jobs, and, I can't pay my rent this month, but here's my plan to pay it for the future. All of it is really when you're talking to a tenant, communicating. How are you
Yeah.
communicating with them? But also making sure that you have all the right legal documents in order, right?
Yeah. You want to have a good lease, not
Right.
one of those generic ones from Home Depot or Office Depot. I mean,
Office Depot.
right? But
Are they still in business?
or some office supply store.
Okay.
Get a good lease that you work with. Read it. Read the terms. And what I've learned to do over the years is look at that lease and then find out, okay, I like the lease now, but what's changed?
Mm-hmm.
And now with ChatGPT and all these other features, artificial intelligence softwares out there, you can come up with good tips on what to do. Some examples are pet policies, appliance maintenance policies, because some landlords can sneak in little clauses like you're going to be required for all repairs under $100, and I don't know what would be under $100
Nothing.
these
Nothing.
days anyway, but that could happen.
Right.
So you just want to read the lease, have a good lease. Maintenance is
Of the-
important, and
right.
making sure you're maintaining those properties. So
And I think with rental units, and I don't know if you do this, but one thing my dad taught me, at least try to go in there once a month.
no, God no, I
Why?
would be furious if a landlord came at my house once a month.
Why?
No, that's ridiculous. Two times a year. One time a year is what I do with my long-term tenants because it's their privacy. Now, with the Airbnb tenant, that may be a little bit different.
Okay.
But these people are living private lives. I don't want you coming in my house. That's
Well,
ridiculous.
that was him.
No chance. Your
Okay.
dad did that?
Yeah.
I mean, I think with 24 hours notice, you can do whatever you want. But I don't know about you. I have better things to do. And I'm not the nanny to my tenants.
Well, I think it's hard because you've had your tenants for 14 years.
No,
a
no,
little
it's not hard. I had other tenants shorter. I'm not a nanny. I expect you to do your stuff and get your stuff done. I'm not
Right.
going
Okay,
in there.
well-
I mean, are you kidding? Driving into the city, if you own a property
Right.
20 miles away, you're going to drive in and,
He did.
well, it's different time.
Right. Different times.
But also tenant ledger. So
Right.
financial log of rent paid, late fees, deposits, things like that are required, especially if you're going through an eviction procedure. You're going to want to
Exactly.
do that. And I use from the office supply shop, I bought a little receipt book.
Yeah.
And you just fill that out, and it keeps a log, and email nowadays tracks everything.
Right.
You have to mail everything.
What do you, as we look at I don't want to say the demise of security deposit, because they're actually
Well, it
more and
was a
more
demise. You're
going
absolutely
away.
right. Yeah.
And there's move in and move out fees now. What is your take on that?
I don't like it, but unfortunately, the way the laws work nowadays is they're in favor of the tenant. No matter
Yeah.
how many violations the tenant has done, you put yourself at tremendous risk because of a lot of political agendas and things like that. People are supporting not the landlord, but the tenant, because
Right.
the landlord is landlord, and so there's all sorts of repercussions. So I don't take a security deposit anymore.
You just do a move in
I just
fee?
do a move in, move out. I don't like it because, I don't want to charge people to move in.
Right.
And if you're responsible, I'm not worried about it. Actually, it's not a terrible thing because when you did take a security deposit, it's a pain.
You have to put
You
in
have
a
to report
certain
on
account.
it every year.
Yeah.
You have to put in a special account.
Right.
So I'm okay with it. I don't like the why it was forced upon us, but in retrospect, getting a fee up front, fine. I guess everyone's used to doing it, so I'll charge them $250 to move in. They
Right.
do scratch the walls and stuff, by the way. I mean, it's like unavoidable. So you
Right.
do get a little bit of money that you could do patch ups on.
Right.
And then move out. Look, I mean, as long as they clean the place up, how are you going to collect a move out fee?
I don't know.
The people are leaving. What are you going to do? So you're going to have to go to court.
Right.
Right, so I don't like the move out fee piece. It'd be
The
better
more
to have
I
security
see
deposit,
is from the residential side and doing residential leases is a move in fee. There's really not a move out fee
well,
because it's hard to collect.
you still have one, and
Right.
some people could do it, and it's really not that hard to go to court. You just have to file it.
Yeah.
Then people usually pay up, but I'm more worried about the tenants that damage the property, right, and
Right.
scratch the floors. But you do have insurance for that.
Right.
Now, so back to Stephanie visiting your apartment. I don't know if I'm renting from the Weber family. There are entry notice requirements,
24 hours.
24 hours. So Stephanie will be notifying you every third week that she'll be there in a week to check
And the
in.
funniest is my dad never
Do
notified
you bring like a vacuum?
No, all
do
he
any
used to
vacuum or
do
cleaning?
is go from apartment to apartment collecting the rent. And he would go in and out of everyone's apartment, regardless of what you were
That's-
doing, cooking,
That's
anything.
a long time ago.
That he did a lot of things that were wrong, but whatever.
No, it wasn't wrong. It's just heavy. He's retired. I mean, so I guess
He
if
wasn't
you're out there
retired.
renting, make sure
He
your
was
landlord.
in his mind retired. He wasn't retired. My mom was like, "Get a job."
He was around a lot.
But the reason he did it also is everyone paid in cash, so he would go collect the rents.
Well,
very
that's
happily.
okay. Now you're in a whole different thing here.
Right.
That's a whole different time frame. He's collecting cash,
But
avoiding taxes,
walking through your apartment.
and walking through your apartment, telling you. And he would tell us to clean up. He was in my apartment. I didn't know what he's doing. Now I know what he was doing. He's freaking spocking me,
Right.
Bill.
And he would say, clean up this stuff. It looks like a heap of blink.
I always did my dishes.
Yeah.
I had underwear everywhere.
Right.
But that was all girls'
Underwear. John has underwear everywhere. So, there's a lot of things that you have to remember when you're a landlord, though, legally. Don't go by what my dad did. The tenants' rights attorneys,
Yeah.
the civil rights attorneys. So I'm not telling you that to scare you. I'm just telling you that to open your eyes because
No, you'll avoid
They're-
all this if
right.
you do it right. I mean,
Right.
that's all. Just follow the procedures. We're
follow the
telling you. You should
procedures
be in
and
good shape.
keep the right records. And
But
John's,
check your local laws too. By the way, we're in
Yeah.
Chicago, but even 6 blocks from here is another city. Will have
exactly
different
like
laws.
Cicero or
Yeah.
anything else. Berwyn.
Oak Park,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Also, legal aid groups report that when you follow the proper documentation, tenants are less likely to contest an eviction in court. God forbid you have to do that.
God forbid.
But if you follow all the procedures, they're like, "Oh, they got me."
yeah,
so
the
it's
judges
just-
like that you follow the procedures too.
So we recommend using, to keep on top of all the stuff if you're really concerned about it. I used Quicken. Your brother used QuickBooks, which is insanely expensive, by the way. So do not recommend that unless you have multiple buildings. I don't see your brother has a contracting agency,
Yeah.
but if you have multiple businesses, it's great for that, I suppose. But there's other property management softwares out there that are free, like
Yeah.
Avail and Stessa. They automate bookkeeping and communications. So
right, what
it's
you
a
need
great
for
way
your
to go.
taxes too. Yeah.
So if you're a software person or it's just easy for you to do, just handle it that way. Avoid the hassles.
Okay. Are you guys excited to be a landlord? It's so much fun.
It is. I love it.
I know.
It's not
No,
bad.
it is. It is fun. It's
Yeah.
you have some fun stories. We have a lot of fun stories. I didn't. Yeah, did I tell you about the dead guy on George Street? Yeah. So
No.
my dad rented a coach house. This is in the 70s. And this guy never answered the
People
phone.
still die.
I know. Well, he was a crackhead, and he
Oh, no.
OD'd in the coach house.
They
Yeah.
didn't have crack in the 70s.
They did too. That
Did
was
they?
like free love. Yeah.
What?
But yes, they had crack in the or whatever it was.
Yeah, I don't think so. Breaking Bad didn't come around until
No, but he had to
2010.
get rid of
Maybe
the
2000.
carcass. So
No.
yeah.
Don't you call 311?
He did, but he had to wait, and then he had to clean up, and
Oh, I had pictures
yeah.
of him pulling up the station wagon.
oh yeah,
Rolling the dude in a tarp, bring him out to the. Okay. That's,
no, I didn't do
that's
that.
better.
Did
I
a
can
lot
see
of
him
stuff.
doing that. He always used to buy this acid when we were down at.
Oh, boric acid. Yep.
I always wondered what it was for.
He
Thought maybe
poured
he's
it down
dumping
every
tenants in
pipe,
it.
and God love the people who bought the buildings we sold, because God knows what.
Oh, I'm sure they're clean pipes.
Oh, they're well, yeah,
Yeah, they're real pipes back then.
yeah.
All right. So, what are the top five besides illegally removing dead bodies from the
From the
apartments?
yeah.
What are top five mistakes landlords make?
Not screening. I think that's really the biggest mistake. And
Yeah.
I'm just prefacing this to people who like, because my dad let us all live in Sacramento, and he let all our friends move in, which is fine. But what I'm saying is, when you go and you're a landlord and you have a friend who has a friend who has a friend that wants to move in, and you're like, well, they're friends of friends of friends. Big mistake. So don't do that. Treat everyone like a business deal, because the friend of the friend could be like the worst tenant ever,
Yeah.
but the friend doesn't know it.
Look, eviction rates are 2 to 3 times higher if you don't do screening.
Yeah.
So just do the screening, friend or not. Just say, this is my process. My attorney suggests that I have to do it.
Or just
If
say your
anybody's gonna
attorney
question
doesn't even
it.
suggest, your attorney makes you do it or something.
Another big mistake is not having reserves. So,
Right.
try and keep some cash around, because when the air conditioning breaks, or you have a big flood or something like that
Right.
from a broken water heater, because those things break. Oh my God, they're a nightmare.
The bottom just falls
Bottom
out.
falls out.
Yeah.
Water goes everywhere. So having some cash in there, your account available. Mm-hmm. They say 10 to 15% of the gross rent annually.
Right.
So
And big leases, big no. Make sure everything's in very specific terms, and make sure it's specific to your property. Make sure it's specific to your unit.
yeah, and the type of unit you're renting, and you could get those templates from the housing authorities, but also the state bar associations.
Yep.
Are really better. Those are better than generic internet forms and templates.
Right. In cities like Chicago, there are code violations. So be familiar with what the codes are, and make sure you're not violating them.
And by the way, you can get into disputes with tenants who are not paying their rent.
Right.
And they'll use code violations against you.
Right.
So I'm sure Stephanie's experienced that.
Of course we have. Yeah, we've experienced everything. But those code violations can be $250 to $500, sometimes per day.
Yeah.
There's depending
If
on
there's
what they are.
Health
Yeah.
and health at risk, and there's
Yeah.
children on top of it, you get penalized even more.
And one of the big things I think is repairs. When you say you're going to repair something, follow through, repair it, make sure it's done right, and especially when you're dealing with water, because the mold, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, my basement flooded because the sump pump broke, and there was mold in it within 48 hours.
It's 20 in one
Yeah.
day. It could start
Yeah.
depending on how humid it is, and a basement can be humid.
And it's really, 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 really detrimental to your health and to anyone around you. So
Yeah. So having proper systems in place protect against these liabilities, fines, all that stuff. Walk your property. Maybe you can walk the property once a month. You just don't have to invade the tenant's rights every month. Maybe that's
anyone
a good way to
out there who is like me and did this, call to action. Please call us or send us a chat. Let us know some of your landlord mistakes that you've done.
or best practices that you've done.
Right.
I'd
That
love to
we
hear those
missed,
too.
that we'd love to include in our landlord toolbox.
All right. Now, and speaking of calls to action, I mean, we're
Right.
going to have some tools for you
Right.
coming out of this, like we do with every episode. We try to anyway.
We try to.
What are some of the tools we're going to provide today? And
We're
what are
going
the
to
call to
do
actions?
a rental application template. Remember, this is just a template. You have to adjust it to your specific property. Move in and move out checklists.
Yep.
I think that's super.
It's critical.
It's critical.
It's helpful to the potential tenants. It's also helpful for, moving. I was just moving my son and looking at what kind of U-Haul I needed and what size,
Right.
looking at all that stuff. It
And
helps you
also
in
just to
advance
know,
plan.
like, what 12 months is a long time. And sometimes you forget, was that there? Was it not there? So exactly from your move in and move out and your maintenance log sheet, what actually happened in the unit. But also your maintenance log sheet is also critical for your taxes, because there's a lot of things that you can write off on your taxes because now you're a landlord, that you need to make sure that you have that maintenance log sheet. And the communication template is when you're coming every third to Thursday of the month to check out the unit, you need to give them 24-hour notice.
Yeah. She's done it a lot, apparently. But one other thing I want to mention, it's not in here, take pictures and video
Yes.
of my unit. I've always done that with my units. I walk through, and especially I do it a lot more now because of the Airbnb that I manage. But when tenants move in, I take a video and I save it in a file under their name in my computer.
And it's
so when
date
I come
stamped.
back, it's date stamped automatically, right?
Right.
And then you have it in there, and then when they move out, they're like, "Oh, we left it the way it was." I'm like, "No,
you didn't.
There's holes in the wall, and
Right.
there's all sorts of scratches everywhere, and all this stuff. And there is, you can't handle scratches. That's normal wear and tear. But
Right.
holes in the wall and gouges in the floor and scratches in the floor. With my floors are from 1888, so I'm just dreading this one tenant moving out because I'm just very fearful of what their dog has done to my floors. I hope I'm wrong, but maybe they're scratching on
You've
the
heard
carpet.
the scratches at night.
I've heard scratches, but I think it's on the carpet. I pray. It's like $100,000 to replace those floors.
Wow.
To come under insurance.
And then your monthly cash flow tracker. This is really, really important as your new tenant landlord. This is all the stuff. Like, the reason you became a landlord is because you get to deduct certain things. You get to, profit and losses. Your losses will mitigate some of your profit because that's less money you're paying taxes, right? So
exactly.
you need to make sure you keep really good records.
Yeah.
My mom was meticulous on that.
So what's our call to action? So basically pick one of these tools. It'll protect your peace of mind, and it'll get you going right away. So
And if you have a great tool that we don't have in here, the whole thing about the Show Me How podcast is to share these tools, help people be successful in the real estate world. And we'll call it out. Hey, Bob shared this tool. Give a call out to Bob. But the biggest thing that we're trying to do is to keep you out of court.
Yeah. So again, some of the CTAs are update your lease or your rent application, do a maintenance reserve, make sure you have funds set aside.
Right.
Or start creating your tenant communication log, or one of these other items that we mentioned in the tools. So.
And then when you're doing a rental and you have a refrigerator, let's say you have a tenant leaving, tenant coming in, the refrigerator is on its last leg. Make sure you keep the reserves so you can just replace that before your new tenant gets in. Mitigate that headache for them too.
My favorite place.
So
Apt for appliances.
I love Apt.
Yep.
We'd like Apt to be a sponsor of the Show Me How podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great. We'd love it. One thing I like to do is, like, if I have a stove and a dishwasher that are one version,
right,
refrigerator breaks, I'll sell the other things and go get a whole new set of brand new appliances at the same time, because I'd like them to match. And I want the warranties on them all to be
And it starts at
aligned.
the same time.
It all starts at the same time, yeah.
Right. And so you're investing, say, $3,000, but it's over the next 10 years.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it again. So
so what are some red flags and when to say no? And I'm going to tell you a couple here. So
okay.
Frequent moving and move out. Now, it says in our notes here, I'm like, every 6 months. I'm like, listen, every year.
No one does.
Who wants to move?
Don't do a lease for less than a year.
Well, obviously, you don't do a lease for less than a year. But if somebody's moving, even every year for the past few years, it's probably because there's a problem. Because nobody likes to move, right?
No. God,
and
no.
here's another pro tip. If they're moving in with a couple suitcases, No furniture. Might be an
That's another
indication,
problem,
although that
yeah.
might be too late. You might be too late by then.
Right.
If they have no ID or unverifiable employment, be careful of that.
Right.
If they're evasive during interviews, obviously there's something they're probably hiding. If they're trying to pay cash and you don't know why, or they don't have a verification of their
Right.
employment, that's a big red flag. Right.
Right. And the big thing is, I know everyone's gotten, video interviews, you can't see anyone's body language unless you're sitting in front of them. So I really, 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 really strongly suggest, if you're going to rent your unit to somebody, have a face-to-face meeting with them.
None of this Zoom stuff.
And also
That's another red flag we didn't think about.
The Zoom.
That might be if they're wanting not to meet personally. Now, I
Right.
can't imagine that happening.
It does.
In a apartment, you need to go see the apartment.
Well, they'll have their agent go see the apartment, and they'll be
What?
like, "I'm out of town.
Really?
I can't meet with you." I strongly
Yeah, obviously, no. There's no
don't
way.
do that.
Do not
and
do that. No.
If they're from out of town, then
better
you
take
need
a
to
trip.
you need to have the agent, the rental agent that's working with them, do some sort of guarantee or verification, because that's a red flag too.
No, you just don't accept it. I wouldn't. Or it's subject to you
something.
meeting the tenant on
them
their
flying
move-in.
in and meeting
Yeah.
you.
Or
Yeah.
or when they're moving in, we can, if something's sketchy, we're changing the.
Well, if they're getting a
You have to have
job
a
here, like
clause.
my niece just did this, and she's moving in, and she came up and looked at apartments for a weekend. So, you definitely want to do face to face.
Yeah. Other things. So, if you have a unit under 4 units, legal counsel recommends that if you're going to deny somebody for an application, you should be consistent with it,
Right.
and you may want to put it in writing. Or, I think you put nothing in writing. Why have a written log of anything, right? Unless somebody starts to harass you.
Right.
But lawyers like to have you write this stuff down. That's not necessarily for that. If you just tell them you're not interested, and then if it gets a little sticky, then you start to document why, is how I would go, but you do what you want. There's also situations, it's the Housing Fair Acts prohibits discrimination. So if you are a landlord, you have to follow this. However, there are clauses where this doesn't apply.
Right.
So owner occupied less than 4 units.
Right.
This doesn't necessarily apply. Senior living, it
Right.
doesn't apply, but because
They can
it's by age groups.
Yeah.
So they can't have 30-year-olds living with
80-year-olds. No.
I have a friend, our friend in Florida, Alton, was moving into a senior facility, and it was a problem.
Alton is just an
What,
overall problem. What is
single
he moving
sex,
into a
single,
senior?
well, because they had great tennis courts. Let's not talk about individuals here. Single sex room rental. So if you have a single sex room rental,
Right.
and you're only renting to men because you're a man, or women because you're a woman, let's say, you can discriminate against men if you're only renting to women.
You're not
because-
discriminating. You're just renting to
well,
one sex
theoretically,
class.
definition is discriminating, but you're only.
Yeah. You're only renting to one sex class. So you can do that.
And then religious and private clubs.
Right.
So if you're in a cult, for instance, Stephanie was interested in this. Your cult can only rent to the
To
Ron
other cult
Hubbard,
members.
Ron Hubbard, right?
L. Ron Hubbard.
I think they might have followed
What
that.
is he? Is Scientology, right?
Scientology, yes.
Oh, yes.
Those Scientologists. You can't move it. I'm telling you, I don't think you can get into a Scientology apartment building if you're not a Scientologist. Have you ever tried, Mike?
How is this even relevant today? Going back to the red
No,
flags.
one more. Single family homes. If you rented without an agent, you also aren't, these fair housing rules don't apply to you.
Yeah,
So,
but you'll get
just
scammed
FYI.
without an agent, so always use an agent.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 sides to every coin, right?
One of the other red flags that since my debacle in Florida, I will tell you, the guy that I bought the house with the tenant in it, he had been in there 8 years. To me, was like, after my rental experience, that's great. Like, he's there 8 years. That makes total sense. He's paid his rent. Well, red flag. Just because a tenant has been there at 8 years doesn't make it a good situation. And you can do something where you write into your contract as you're buying the property, that the former owner is verifying that this tenant is good. I didn't know that. So we had to evict him. It was a big, long ordeal process. He pulled out every kind of discrimination that we could have. Like, I don't even know what we
Well,
were
he was
discriminating
gaming the
against.
system.
Right.
So, like we talked
So
about
that's
earlier.
what I'm saying. Don't just think because a tenant has been there a long time that they're a good tenant. Make sure that you're holding the
What
former
could you-
landlord.
What could you have discovered?
I could have made the former landlord or tenant, former owner, verify he had a lot of things that went on with them I didn't know about.
Oh, well, it's just like interviewing
Right.
a previous landlord.
Right.
So you skipped that step.
Right.
That was new. She was new to it, but
What? No, I mean, I just thought, okay, he's been there 8
Right,
years,
no.
and they said he paid his monthly rent, but I didn't get into all his discrepancies and all his situations. So shame on me, totally on me. But that's what I'm saying. Just make sure you're covering yourself.
yeah. So, what's the easiest way to handle late rent without escalating it into a nightmare?
I did this at Sacramento. I had a 6-unit rental, and I had
You
4
break
people.
into their house once a month?
No, I did not break into their house once a month. But I had 4 people that were consistently late after the 10th. And my mom, God love her soul, but was a stalker on the phone if you were late. So I made it very simple, sent out a letter to everyone in the building. If you pay after the 10th, there'll be a $50 fee.
10th is generous.
It was generous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be a
'Cause
$50
it's 5 days,
fee.
I think.
And
Is
they
it 5
all
days
can-
typically?
I don't know. We
Think
did
so.
the 10th. And they all paid before the 10th. And
Well, they're late on the first day, right? And,
Right.
and the penalties apply immediately. Make sure you have that clause built in there too. Make sure you have a late payment fee clause, and make sure it stacks. I would
Right.
say, because if you get a really bad tenant, you want to hit them hard. You want to make it worth your while if you have to go to court.
Right.
So you don't have to. You'll give them a 5-day grace period, but once they're at the 6th day, the penalties for those previous 5 days all
Right.
count. Right.
Right.
That's how I do it anyway.
Right. But if you have 3 units, 4 units, you have 6 units, whatever you do, send everyone the same letter.
Yeah.
So you
give them
make sure you're
a polite
consistent.
reminder, I think, on the phone
Right.
or email or text is what I do.
I just texted.
And then you have a 5-day notice, which you should do immediately, right? You have a late fee,
Right.
which is in the lease. And then, worst case, you have to do an eviction filing, right?
Right.
So
Right.
always comply with your state. Now, I had a situation that was kind of crazy. I had a tenant pass away. And I loved the guy. His name was John.
In your unit?
In one of my units, yeah. I didn't live there at the time. He's a really nice guy. I mean, not in my unit, in my building, in one of the units. And he passed away, and I was like, what do I do? I didn't think of rolling him up in a tarp like your dad.
You didn't
I
have
didn't
a
have a
station
bad
wagon?
acid lying around. So I was trying to figure out what to do. And it was a quagmire, and I had to figure it out. And I forget. I didn't know who their next of kin were.
That's another thing.
Oh, my
Always
God. it
get
was
their
a
next of
horror
kin.
story. I don't even remember now. It was so traumatizing. I don't remember how
What'd
those
you
people
do?
showed up. I don't remember. It's horrible. But they showed up, and they were horrible. They didn't like their father. They were disenfranchised from him.
Oh, God.
They didn't want anything to do with it. Then I'm like, oh, my God, your father died. I let him into the unit, and they're like picking through his stuff and going through his stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess it's natural. Okay. And then I'm like, so he's dying here. What are we going to do? It's all coming back to me now. How are we getting the stuff out of here? They're like, well, I don't know. It's your problem. I'm like, what? They're like, what are you talking about? They're picking through his valuables. They're not willing to pay the rent. And they're like, good luck. And I'm like,
What'd they do with the
they're
body?
like 4 kids. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, you are the worst
People.
I've ever met. All of them. They're all like trash. And the guy was not a bad guy. I liked him so
So wait a
much.
minute. What'd you do with the body?
His body didn't actually die in the unit. So he passed away. It was a terrible accident. He hit his head somewhere. And so it
Oh,
was
so
a
they
good-
just came to the unit and picked through his stuff
yes,
and then
they
left.
came to the
Oh,
unit. And they're
God.
like, and I let them in, and they're like grabbing stuff, and I'm like, it's at first I'm like, this is.
That's
They'll
horrible.
honor the rent for the month or whatever. No.
No.
And it was like months because I was stuck. I was like working my job. I think it was before I was a parent. And
Oh, my God.
I'm like, what's going on here? And I didn't know what to do. So the place is full with this furniture. And they wouldn't, they took all the stuff they liked. They left everything else.
And so what did you do? 1-800-JUNK? There wasn't even that back
I
then.
just had it all. I had somebody come and move it out. They didn't have that. So we just moved it out. But anyway, I
Wow.
love John. He was a very nice tenant. I miss him, but it was a real.
Yeah, and that's
So I guess
another thing.
getting
Get their next of kin. Yeah.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's
You
a good
probably
one.
should- and that's one we didn't add in here. So
Right.
get your next of kin in case there's an emergency.
Right. And
I
even
should-
if someone gets sick or anything, you want to
Yeah.
be able to call somebody.
Yeah. So
Please send us any stories that you have too, or questions that we can address
yeah,
regarding
leverages.
tenant
Yeah,
situations.
because that's a new one that just popped up. That's
Right.
a great experience. Not a great experience I went through that
Right.
provide great learning for everyone. So.
Right.
All right. So, what are our key takeaways?
What are our key takeaways? Tell us.
Well, treat rentals like a business, not
Yes.
a friendship agreement or anything like that. Just say, oh, I do this for everyone, or my
Right.
legal counsel recommends I do it. If you have to use some excuse, use verified screening and documentation. Set boundaries early and often for noise complaints and disturbing other tenants. That's another thing. I had people, tenants getting upset for the other tenants. So
Right.
And with the Airbnb, that happens a little bit too. So if you get a rogue Airbnb person in there, you got to address it very quickly. Also, other things that we need to real focus on. Verify that employment
Yes.
and reconnect with the previous landlords.
Right, and we'll put those all in the 5 templates in our toolbox, so
Yeah.
you guys have those. It's fun. We can laugh about certain situations now, but it really goes down to this is your business.
Yeah.
Treat it like your business. Be thorough, but you can be generally a nice person too.
Yeah,
You don't have to be an ass.
No, always always come across nice, and I'm always super nice
Right.
until I don't have to be, and then Chicago comes out.
Right. Then I go into
But,
RoboCop.
Whether you're renting one unit or managing 10, protect your investment and
Yeah.
treat it like the business that it is, because you got to stay on top of it. If you give an inch, they'll take a mile, is an old saying, right?
Right.
So don't be that person. Stay on top of it. You're not being cruel. You're just sticking to the rules. Setting boundaries is fair for everyone, right?
And then also, like my dad used to say, take care of your estate, which is, he drilled in all our heads. Make sure the grass is cut. Make sure the snow is. Big thing in Chicago or in a cold
Snow
weather
removal.
climate, snow removal. You are liable if they slip and fall and you didn't remove the snow. You are.
Probably. We don't have legal, suggestions here. I think you probably are, but
Right.
you should just be on top of your maintenance anyway.
Well, the funniest story, and we'll leave you with this. I was renting a place after my divorce in Logan Square. And I was running out to go see this house that I wanted to buy. And had a long cement staircase, right? We can always know what's going to happen right now. And I'm like running down, and I feel it happening. Like, you're like, oh no, something's happening here. Fly up in the air, land on the cement staircase. This nice Mexican guy comes up to me and he's like, "Are you dead?" I go, "Are you Jesus?" And so I didn't do anything to the landlord. I crawled back in my apartment, took like 14 ibuprofens because I had to go see this house. I didn't take 14. I only took 4. And went on my merry way. But a lawyer friend of mine said, you could have said something to your landlord. They're liable for the stairs. So anything within your unit or your property line, you
line.
are. But that was kind of my funny, are you dead? Are you Jesus story? So, so make sure you're doing that. And what do we...
And thank you again for listening. Thank you for
We
giving
love
us
you
your
guys.
suggestions. Thanks for giving your time.
And we want to hear your feedback, and we want to hear your stories. We always love stories because those are what make real estate fun, right? The stories that we have, and we still tell stories about my dad all the time. So when we're looking at, we want to dive into our next episode, and really have a legal counsel on here.
Yeah, we'll
I'm
have somebody
hoping-
to talk about tenants' rights and eviction laws. Hopefully next week we'll have them in here, right?
Right. We're looking at, she's in Florida, but she's a stitch. She helped me with my eviction in Florida. And she has some great wealth of information. Her and her husband have been lawyers for a long time, and they're real lawyers. Like, they talk real. Not
They're
that
lawyers.
they're lawyers, but they're not the kind that you cringe when they walk in the door and your like skin starts crawling
They're
up.
friendly people.
They're fun.
So stay tuned for that. And thank you again.
Thank you for being a part of the Show Me How family. We love you guys, and
we'll
we'll see you
at
soon.
the next episode.